Welcome to the Goddess Within by Hecatehoney. So, I haven't done a video in a while, and I was thinking about grounding last night. It was a full moon last night. I was thinking about doing a ritual, and I was talking to myself. Yes, I talked to myself about grounding and cleansing. That's what I do to create a sacred space. So, with grounding, it relieves excess energy and balances out your system, balances out your energies. Especially when we're going through emotional periods, times in our life, or, just stressful situations, we can have a buildup of energies in our body because each of those emotions um, has its own specific energy vibration. So if you're sad, it has its own vibration. If you're happy, it has its own vibration. Generally, joy and happiness and laughter and satisfaction and serenity have a very high vibration. But if you go through harder times of sadness, fear, guilt, shame, any of those, they have a lower vibration. But these feelings can leave residual energies in our body, and they can also block our chakras, which if you looked at my other chakra clearing video, I talked a little bit about it in each of those chakras. But these emotions and these feelings and energies can get locked into our bodies. So grounding is super important. That's what is. Grounding is a release and balancing of these energies in our body. We are energetic beings. We're surrounded by energy, right? Electrons moving around very quickly. My chair is made out of like electrons. I'm made out of electrons, right? It's just constant energy around us and within us. And then we ourselves create a lot of energy, and our emotions are huge energy sources. So we want to keep those kind of cleared and pure, and the best way to do that, it was with constant grounding. There are several ways to ground, but I wanted to talk about my favorite ones and why it's important to ground. So I notice when I have an excess amount of energy in my system, one, I tend to overthink. I will try to come up with every possible scenario and then find a solution to it. Two, I drop things. I get really dropsy, like really klutzy, and I'm almost just distracted, and my energy is so out of whack that I'm not present. Being present is very important. I could do a whole video about being present. Um, I also will notice I'll go on autopilot while I'm driving more, and then I get somewhere and I'm like, um, how did I get here? Where did that time go? So, and then if I'm going through really rough periods, which I haven't been lately, but in the past, like let's say I'm doing a lot of shadow work, I will totally, I call them brownouts. Like when you're drinking and you drink too much, you black out. I call the high emotional stress blackouts, I call them brownouts. So when there's an excess amount of energy, I will totally brown out and not know what I did for the last hour or so. It's very strange, I know. It's almost like leaving my body. Um, so I thought like grounding is really important because especially I hadn't been doing it the last couple months, not months, weeks. So I just thought maybe you guys would want to hear about this. And if you don't, oh well. But so my favorite ways to ground, one, I like to take walks on the beach. I don't know if you're near any oceans or bodies of water, but water is very grounding, and it also has the added benefit of clearing, which is kind of like the same thing. The clearing is like the clearing out of energy, and then grounding is like balancing out the energy. So, I'll get up really early in the morning and I will walk down to the beach and to the water, and I take off my shoes, and I've had some pretty magical experiences. For instance, I was walking with a friend of mine, and I had my shoes on the sand, even though we were walking next to the water. And Papa Ocean, I call him Papa Ocean, Mother Earth, Papa Ocean. So Papa Ocean kept coming and like kind of touching my shoes, and I'm like, okay, okay, I'll take my shoes off, because I know when I take my shoes off and walk on that sand and let the water come and touch my feet, it's almost like a kiss from a god. I don't know. It does something to me. So I let the ocean wash over my feet, and it reminds me of, like, Jesus's feet being like washed. I don't know. That just popped in my head. Maybe a channeling, but it like, and it kind of choked me up. It kind of like clears away, like, any of the stress I've been having, any negative feelings, any like negative emotions, and I get this peaceful quiet that comes over my body, and as I continue walking, like, I start noticing the sun, I start noticing the clouds, I start getting quieter, I start my thinking slows down, my thinking gets quieter, and I'm just in the moment. And that's like one of the amazing effects of grounding, is because the sand, walking on the sand, one, connecting with Mother Earth, and then two, like the ocean washing over my feet, is also a connection with Mother Earth and Papa Ocean, right? And like, there's been like this beautiful moment. I was walking with my friend, and as soon as I took my shoes off and connected with Papa Ocean and Mother Earth physically, I look up and there's like a school of dolphins, just like not even a mile. They were like right there in the ocean in front of me, doing jumps and like playing with each other. And to me, that's a freedom. That's a freedom of spirit. And I always feel like those are signs. So, like, whenever I encounter an animal like that unexpectedly, I kind of take it as a sign from one of my goddesses or my god, and or a higher power, or like the universe, whatever you believe. There's meaning in each of those animals, or even insects. There's meaning. There's a symbology. So I've had very beautiful experiences like that. So grounding with your feet bare on the earth, with the added water, you can even just go walking around outside and barefoot and connect with the earth that way. There's even been studies that the positive ions from the earth are sucked up into our bodies, and we release negative ions from our bodies into the earth when we do that, even 20 minutes a day. So when I'm on these beach walks, I'm there for at least an hour. The sun keeps going in and out. Another beautiful experience I had is I like to ground with trees. So I normally would go to the beach or this nature center around me where there's like, it's kind of like a forest within the city, because I live in a LA suburb, and it's hard to find like a forest. So I mean, there is, but it's a trick. It's a trek, right? So this is really close. So I got up a little late and I didn't have time to go to my normal place. So I normally don't like walking around my neighborhood. I don't know why. I'm a weirdo. I come up with these like ideas, and I guess because it's more asphalty and not really naturey, and yeah, I don't know. So I decided, look, you have enough time. You need to go on a walk. I've been walking daily. It's amazing. Changed my life. Anyway, so I walked down to this park, and I had this beautiful time on my way down. It's in this nice little residential neighborhood, and I start touching the trees on my walk. And I know in other videos I've talked about touching the trees, but I have a relationship with the trees, okay? So I put my hands on a tree, and I get this feeling that travels from my fingers and my palm all the way up into my arms, and then just like a overwhelming, it's not even overwhelming, it's like a beautiful feeling of like quiet, and my shoulders release. I had to imagine it, that's why I closed my eyes. I had to, my shoulders release. I breathe a little deeper. Breathing is super important, people, you know that. And I connect with the tree. And I've been doing this for years. And before, I would just like not feel anything, but I knew it was good in the beginning. And then I would start feeling things when I touched the tree, like I had cleared a pathway in my spirit to connect with these trees. And so I'd get this beautiful feeling. And now I feel like the trees talk to me. I feel like sometimes they'll introduce themselves. Sometimes they'll bless me. Sometimes they'll tell me their names, tell me like, what's going on with them. I know you probably think I'm crazy, but it's the most beautiful experience. So on this particular walk, I was connecting with my trees and grounding myself. You can completely ground yourself into into a tree. Like you just put your hands on the tree and you close your eyes and you just stand peacefully, and the tree will embark some of its life force to you. Impart some of its life force to you, which that exchange of energy is so sacred because these trees are often very old. Their roots are deep within the earth. And if you've ever watched this, I think it's like The Marvelous Life of Fungi or something, they were talking about the mycelium, which are all the little systems in the roots and all the little they're not even like, I think they're like roots, they're in the ground, and then there's like fungus, and then they travel and they connect with each other, and that's how trees connect with the other trees, and they talk, they communicate. It's so amazing. So you're connecting with these frameworks within our earth, and you're also connecting with Mother Earth by touching these trees. And this chokes me up too. The trees have felt very left out of nature for a long time. And the more I've been talking to the trees, communicating silently, it's not like I'm standing there having a conversation. You don't need to do that, like, especially if you feel uncomfortable. I've kind of passed that discomfort stage of what people think of me. But so I'm communicating with these trees, and they just, any amount of attention, they're so happy. And friends of mine have even tried this themselves, and they talked about how they'd get this beautiful warm feeling, and that the trees were just so happy that they had like blessings from us, and that this like wind would come up, and like it was almost like the tree was enfolding them. And I've had those experiences too. And that one day I was walking and talking to the trees along the way. I finally get to this park, and I'm walking along the little path, and there's beautiful trees there, huge old jacarandas and oaks and everything. And I'm walking along the path, and there's a falcon, a big falcon, like he was like at least a foot tall, maybe a foot and a half, and he was brown and white and had the specks. I've seen the smaller falcons, but this was a full-on falcon, and he was sitting there staring. And I came up to him and I started talking to him. And, I found out later the symbology of that. I have a thing with falcons. They're one of my totem animals along with dragonflies. So I'm talking to the falcon. I'm like, oh my God, can I take your picture? And as I'm taking a picture, he's posing and like doing little, like twisting his little head around and turning and like posing for me. And I said, you're so beautiful. Thank you so much. And as I walked away, he started flying overhead, following me on my walk. And I stopped and touched some more trees. And I finally get to this series. I call them the sisters. When there's the same tree kind of planted in a row, I call them sisters. And I came to the first sister, and she told me her name was Segramir, and that the falcon is Horley, and that's her falcon, and that she used him to get my attention, and was telling me how thankful that the trees are that I send out messages to us, to humanity, that that we need to pay attention to our trees and love our trees and connect with the trees again. And it reminded me of like Lord of the Rings, like the living trees. I don't know if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, but the trees were alive and like battling, and they're old anyway, but they're super cool. So I was like, oh my God, I can't, but she gave me her name. And I've also like communicated with trees and asked them to help me make healing medicine. My friend Apothemary, she creates tinctures and healing medicines of all kinds. And I was talking to her about this beautiful tree I have at work. He's a pine tree. I named him Rory. I don't know if that was his name, but he didn't communicate it to me like Sagramir did. But I don't know, I just named him. So I loved him, and she was telling me how to make offerings to him, and that ask him if he'd be willing to impart some of his body for healing tinctures, or like any type of healing, medicinal purposes, right? And so he did, and I made my offerings, which if anybody wants to know what those offerings are, you can message me or leave a comment. But it was like an amazing experience. So I go and I talk to him every day. And sometimes I'll have like a pain in my leg, and I'm like, Rory, I named him Rory. Rory, can you take this pain away in my leg? I'm trying to walk and it's getting in the way. And like I touch him for a little while and let that beautiful essence just like wash over me, and the pain goes away. It's just so miraculous and beautiful. And so I don't know. Like that's an amazing way to ground. And like the ocean, the sand, even just walking in a nature area, um, being in nature is naturally grounding for us and keeps us in the present and gets us back to our state of beings, and our original intended state of beings, which is present, mindful, and serene. You know, and if you can do that, I was reading something about doing that 20 minutes. I think 20 minutes a month, 20 minutes a week, 5 hours a month, and 3 days a year. Something about that combination keeps us like happier people. And I know like grounding is a way to kind of like anchor our spirits and our energies to the earth. Especially if you're a spiritual worker or an empath, you can suck up other people's energies, and grounding is a really great way to get rid of that excess others energy. You don't want that in your body. You don't want like I do Reiki, and so people's energies move through me and can come back on me, and I have to get it out. And so like that's super important. So I don't know, balance yourselves, people. Do some grounding today. Go outside, put your feet on the earth, and let the sun wash all over your skin. And I hope that that helps anybody who had any questions about grounding, and gives you a little more encouragement to connect with Mother Earth and Papa Ocean, or Papa Water if you can. All right. Have a great day, guys. If you liked this video, please like the little like button, share, and subscribe it. You could share it on your Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting more videos on just like a general tarot, probably like how to set up a sacred circle. And I use sacred circles all the time, so it'll probably be my next video. Anyway, love you guys. Bye.